Hey guys. Um, I've been thinking a lot about what I want to talk about today, and I still don't know. So kind of bear with me today. Um, I have been kind of in my own little depression funk here the past couple days. Um, I've been pulling myself out of it, making sure that I'm rewarding myself for those little things, like I've mentioned in my blog posts. If you read my blog, you've probably seen remind yourself that you're doing good. Last night I went out and hung out with some friends instead of sitting in my apartment by myself, instead of isolating myself. So that was a big deal. Um, but as my depression kind of is trying to take over again, I'm just kind of reminding myself that it's okay. Everybody kind of has those bad days all over again. It's just you get so far away from them that for a second, like, you almost forget how to deal with them anymore, which can be good. It's kind of a good thing, but kind of a bad thing as well. So I guess really what I wanted to talk about today that I think is very important is what it feels like to have depression. Because people without mental illnesses, they don't really understand. And they'll probably never understand, but at least they can get an idea. So you just went out with friends and you had a really, really, good time. But the whole time that you're out, you're just like looking at them and laughing with them and wondering why they get to be truly happy. Wondering like how they get to have a perfect life and you didn't. Wondering why you have to deal with depression, but they don't. And why you can't be like them. So the whole time that you're out with friends, you're just sitting there thinking in the back of your mind, and they can't even realize that that's what you're going through. And you may be laughing, but your heart is aching the whole time. It's like this deep physical ache. It's really aching. And when you get home and your shoulders collapse, and you take a deep breath, and the bag falls off your shoulder onto the floor, and you have to struggle not to cry. Because you've been keeping it inside all day long. And it just breaks. And you almost just want to crumble to the floor and not get back up. When it feels like every breath you're taking is filled with water and you're drowning yourself, while everybody else around you gets to breathe normally. When you're laying in bed at the end of the night, and you're not just thinking about the mistakes that you made today, but mistakes that you made like 10 years ago and everybody else forgot except for you. And you have this deep hollowness in your chest because all the oxygen just seems to escape out of your lungs. And you can't breathe. And you reach out for somebody, but there's no one there. Or when you're in the shower and all of a sudden it hits you again, and you sit on the bottom of the shower floor while the water turns to cold, and you can't distinguish what's tears and what's water. That's depression. It's like being underwater, and you can't breathe, and you're struggling to breathe, but every time you do, you just get water in your lungs. But you're sitting, and as you're struggling and you can't breathe, you're watching everybody else around you breathe normally, and you don't understand why you can't. That's what depression is. It's that little voice in the back of your head telling you that you're never going to be good enough. That The reason that people walk out of your life on what seems like a constant basis is because you're not good enough to keep them. You're not good enough to make them stay. There's something wrong with you. But that's not true. It's not true. And you just have to remind yourself of that. And breathe again. Because it's hard. It's really hard. When all you want to do is just break down and cry, but you don't let yourself all day long. You choke back the tears. When it feels like if somebody asks me what's wrong, I'm just gonna break and I can't fake it anymore. I got really good at pretending to be okay in high school. Really good. I've been told people, thought that that was the happiest time of my life, and they didn't understand that every day I was going home and I was cutting myself open. That while I was sitting in the middle of class, laughing and pretending to be this really happy person, when I would move, I could feel my wounds stretch with pain that made me grit my teeth. Every time I was pretending to be happy, I was thinking about the cuts on my legs. That I got so depressed at one point, I couldn't leave home unless I had a blade on me. On my possession at all times, just in case. I hardly ever used it anywhere besides home, but I had to have it. The whole time I was sitting at that lunch table, laughing with my friends, playing spades, whatever, I was thinking about how close I was to getting to go home and cut again. I was thinking about if I should tell them. But I was afraid I was going to be perceived as crazy. Because having to be on medication made me crazy. That's not true. I mean, if you're on blood pressure medicine, that's not because you're crazy and your blood pressure's everywhere. But whenever we have to be on medicine because our mental capacities are just exceeding what we can handle, for some reason that makes us crazy. But it's not true. It's chemicals. It's not us. But depression tricks us into thinking it is us. So if you have a friend that's always happy, but whenever they stare off into the distance, you can see that there's something there, maybe you should ask them about it and not let them tell you that they're fine. In my house, in my rule book, fine is a curse word. We don't use the word fine. If somebody tells you they're fine, they're probably lying. It's the easiest word. It's a really hard thing to go through by yourself. And we don't reach out because we're not good enough. So maybe you should reach out to your friend. Or if you're the depressed individual, let yourself ask for help. It doesn't have to necessarily be from a doctor with medicine, but just somebody that you can trust. Like, a youth pastor or, a counselor or somebody. Just somebody. Don't let it get bad. Because once your soul is gone from this earth, it's not coming back. So, I don't want to lose your soul. Your soul is meant for many good things. So, I know this wasn't exactly the most uplifting video, but it's important still. So guys, smile and let your hearts be open to tomorrow, because there really can be a brighter tomorrow, okay?